A lot of you have been asking me for my preset with Slayer, and I've been extremely reluctant to give you the preset. So what I will do is show you all the elements that I used to make this Slayer preset. Let's go ahead and get into it. For the face, I went with the bottom right face. You can also use this face right here that's just above it and to the left. As you can see, they are very similar. This one looks a little more curious, but this one looks a little more serious. So that's the one that I went with, just following the general attitude of what I feel like a Slayer would be. For the hair, we went with the third option. It was a real tough decision going through these, but I ultimately chose the third option instead. Went with the two-tone hair color, and this color option is very dark brown, and this one is just a hair lighter. Make sure to note the intensity and the extent here for the two-tone. Now, if you're trying to make your hair look something similar to this, basically like one hair color but just a little bit of highlights in there or something like that, then this is what I would suggest you do. Make the main hair color darker, the additional hair color a little bit lighter, and use this intensity and the extent here, and this will keep it looking pretty natural, but also you can see all of the hair and it actually looks very good instead of being super dull like this. As far as the eyes go, I would go with the second option because the eyes are just brighter, as you can tell, compared to the other ones. This option is just like, boom, they're in your face. And I made the iris just a little bit bigger so we get a little bit more oomph on the character, especially on the character screen. You can see the eyes much better. And overall, I think it just looks a little bit more aesthetic that way. But if you're really trying to make the eyes stand out, do max brightness on your eye color. Here's the skin code for this skin. This is a really solid skin color because it looks good in most lighting. As you can tell, it looks good in this darker lighting. It looks good in this brighter lighting here. Even at night, oh, that looked a little scary with the eyebrows for a second. It looks pretty good in this lighting as well. You can still see like some of the shininess, some of the shading, and in this, it looks pretty good as well. So that's why I ultimately decided on this skin tone instead of something brighter, because like when it's bright like this, it just gets really washed out, especially when there's a lot of light. It looks okay at nighttime, but again, it just looks really washed out here and right here as compared to where I had it somewhere around right there. So it looks much better there. That is what I would suggest you do if you want your skin color to look good in most lighting situations in the game. Now, as far as the makeup goes, originally I really liked the eye makeup of this tattoo, but I didn't like all of this up here, so I tried to recreate that, which I feel like I did a pretty decent job of doing that with the makeup. And for the eyebrows, real quick, you'll just want to pump up the opacity here and change them to black. That's what I did, just to make them a little bit more visible. And for the eye makeup, I went with the fifth option, with the eyeliner color being darker blue, down on the opacity just a little bit. With the eyeshadow color, I went with the red and moved the opacity just a little bit because if it's too much, I just didn't really like it that much, but just a little bit of the shadow here gives a little bit of depth. It looks really nice. For the blush, I went with the third option. The other options are okay as well, but as you see, that third option, it just adds just a little bit of shading here. That way, whenever it is really bright, like in these scenarios, you can still see the shading. So it just combats that washed out effect when there's too much light. So that's what I would do. Now, as far as the lips, I went with the second option with a deep red, not super bright, but I also turned down the opacity a little bit because if you turn it all the way up, it looks okay in this lighting, but when you start to look at the other lighting, as you can see, it almost just looks like a highlighter red. Like it's super, super red. It almost stands out more than anything else. And I didn't want that. I wanted it to look a little more balanced. So just brought it down just a little bit to ease that intensity off. That is everything that you need to build your own Slayer. If you use things from this preset, please join the Discord, send me a picture of it. I would love to see what you've done with your own Slayer. I realized that I didn't give you all the color codes for this preset, and that is because I want this one to be completely original, but I wanted to show you what I did so that you can add your own little bit of spice and flair onto your Slayer. But now you should go forth and make them fantastic make sure and like and subscribe to the channel. We're building an awesome community over here, and consider joining the Discord as well. It's going to be an awesome, positive Lost Ark Discord experience, and I'll see you on the next video.